What is a non-dom? Or rather, what is non-dom status? It seems a rather pertinent question where it comes to Chancellor Rishi Sunak's wife, Akshata Murthy, as it's been revealed she's been one for years. And if you've heard the term in any context before, you usually think of it going hand in glove with tax avoidance. So let's just have a little look at this thing and then look at the Sunaks after. Non-dom is short for non-domiciled status, and it generally refers to somebody who, for tax purposes, has a domicile outside of the UK. Now, I'm going to keep using this word domicile and not change it to say residence or home or citizenship even, which is how you might think of it, because it does have specific definition in law, though not in and of itself anything to do with taxation. It's just that non-dom status does come with certain tax advantages. Your domicile comes down to three different types. Your domicile of origin, which is where you were born. This will be the same as your father if your parents are married, or your mother if your parents were unmarried. And then there is domicile of dependency. This will be the same as your domicile of origin unless the relevant parent moves elsewhere. Your domicile would then move too, as their dependent. If as a woman you married prior to 1974, your domicile of dependency would then change to that of your husband. And lastly, there is the domicile of choice. Once you reach 16 and are no longer considered necessarily a dependent, you can move to a country or region of your choice. And if you have the intention of settling there permanently and take steps to demonstrate this, it becomes your new domicile. This doesn't mean severing ties of nationality from elsewhere. It doesn't mean you are no longer a citizen of that place either. And you can indeed still hold a passport from wherever you lived before. Non-dom status is basically claiming to be living somewhere other than your assigned or chosen domicile. Now, you might look at this last one and think, well, Damo, this is a bit of a fuzzy area, isn't it? And you'd be right. Due to the tax benefits that come with non-dom status, anyone perceived to be taking the mick could get in a spot of bother. But it is up to whoever raises suspicions about the legitimacy of this last form of domicile to prove their suspicions. So if it's a tax issue and it's HMRC looking at someone for tax avoidance, they are the ones who must prove it, not the person claiming non-dom status, innocent until proven guilty. As you can imagine, all this investigation business is time-consuming and expensive, and therefore they don't do a lot of it. So anyway, let's look a bit closer at what it means to be a non-dom. To take non-dom status, you have to choose to take it. Domiciled status is assigned or chosen later in life if you move elsewhere in the world, as I've outlined. Therefore, to claim non-domiciled status, you'd clearly have to apply for it. But why would you bother? Tax reasons, mainly. It's not cheap to claim non-dom status. Claimants typically pay an annual levy of some £30,000. So to make it worth it financially, you've got to be making some serious income. You don't pay tax on money you make outside of this country unless you were to pay it into a UK bank account. If the non-dom works in both the UK and overseas, they might be eligible for foreign workers exemption as long as their overseas earnings are less than £10,000 or are taxed overseas instead of here. If they are eligible for this, the tax they pay here would be below the basic rate, so a better rate of income tax, essentially. They also benefit from protections against inheritance tax. So if you've a lot of property, for example, you can avoid paying tax on it after death. How long can you claim to be a non-dom for? You can be a non-dom, ordinarily resident in the UK, for up to 15 out of the last 20 years. After that, you're treated as domiciled here. Whether you claim to be under those three different domiciled statuses I've described earlier, it doesn't matter which one you might have chosen. You are assumed to be domiciled here after 15 years out of 20. So let's look at Rishi Sunak and Akshata Murthy in context of all of this, shall we? A statement was released on behalf of Murthy, and it says, Akshata Murthy is a citizen of India, the country of her birth and her parents' home. India does not allow its citizens to hold the citizenship of another country simultaneously. So according to British law, Ms. Murthy is treated as non-domiciled for UK tax purposes. She has and always will pay UK taxes on all her UK income. Well, the standout bit is that she apparently admits to holding non-dom status specifically for tax reasons. So her entire reason for being a non-dom is to actually ensure she pays less tax here. Bearing in mind the annual levy to hold this status is £30,000, you know there's some serious income being made here, but as the billionaire daughter of a billionaire, you'd expect nothing less, would you? The wife of the Chancellor of the Exchequer, folks, seemingly admitting to tax avoidance. Well, let's go through the rest of this, though, because there's a lot more bollocks in this statement. She is a citizen of India, yes, no argument there, but citizenship has no bearing on where you are ordinarily domiciled, so it's besides the point. It is the country of her birth and where her parents live. So her domicile of origin and dependency would certainly have been India, and is likely where it remains by choice. The statement also says that it is because of British law that Ms Murthy is treated as non-domiciled. This is a flat-out lie. Non-dom status is never conferred on anyone. Who would want it if they had to pay £30,000 annually that they didn't have, after all? It'd be a hell of a lot of money for a Bulgarian daffodil picker to find, for example, wouldn't it? You choose it. You apply for it. It has nothing to do with British law imposing it and everything to do with filling out a form for, as she apparently admits, tax purposes. Paying taxes on her UK income is great, but at the end of the day, the status is there, so she doesn't have to pay it on what she makes elsewhere. This is a woman with significant shareholdings in Infosys, based out of India and operating globally. And if you check her LinkedIn page, she's a director at Catamaran Ventures, a business equity firm, Digme Fitness, her gym chain, and New and Lingwood, a gentleman's outfitters. There's more business interests besides. Digme Fitness is of particular interest, though, since Murthy put in a claim for £100,000 of furlough aid when they had to shut their doors due to the pandemic lockdowns. Public cash, our cash, being used to keep her business interests alive when she appears to have been practicing legal tax avoidance is enough to turn your stomach. Akshata Murthy married Rishi Sunak in 2009. So they've been married for 13 years in August, giving her just 2 years left to enjoy her non-dom status before she'll be treated as ordinarily resident here, assuming she hasn't lived for extended periods of time elsewhere. I can't imagine that's the case, though. Perhaps HMRC, who, as I stated before, have the power to investigate non-dom statuses if they suspect shenanigans, would do so, but it takes money and resources, and I can't imagine Sunak, as Chancellor of the Exchequer, will give them the cash to investigate his own wife. But they could, in theory, investigate this now if they wanted to. They could start with the 3 homes they have in the UK, which inheritance tax would be avoided on, for example, perhaps. Kind of infers they're very much based here, though, doesn't it? We now have a holiday home in the US, too. But is there any property in India to Murthy's name to back up her story that she's ordinarily resident there? I'd love to know. They do always seem to holiday in the States, don't they? That's where they are for Easter. Never seems to be India, does it? 13 years is certainly long enough, though, for Rishi Sunak's excuses that he's unaware of her business dealings to be loudly and justifiably rubbish. His job is here. He's been touted as a future possible Prime Minister, though these tax dealings might have put paid to that. Yet it does imply a commitment to remaining in this country. Again, grounds for an HMRC investigation, in my view. Sunak can't possibly not know of her non-dom status for tax purposes. While she avoids paying tax, she's claiming public money to keep her business afloat. She has huge business interests overseas that she pays no tax on here, not least of which the Infosys dividends she'll have been enjoying from their business dealings in Russia, now closing, but probably only because they've been exposed. Akshata Murthy seems to be quite obviously resident here. She avoids tax through a non-dom status that looks shaky at best, yet despite that, she's benefited from furlough cash to help her business out. Whilst we experience a cost of living crisis added to by tax hikes Chancellor Rishi Sunak has imposed on us, his wife enjoys tax perks. This is utterly damning, absolutely scandalous, and in any other time in British politics, I'd call it career ending for Sunak. It still should be.